Welcome into another episode of the Film Room. I'm really excited to be joined today by Andrea Daley from over at Boston College. Andrea, first and foremost, outside of being absolutely frozen in Massachusetts, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm doing pretty good.
Awesome. No, glad to hear it. I'm psyched to get you on. I've been enjoying watching you guys this year. I think things have really started to click in a way, especially last couple games in ACC play. So I want to ask you, especially just looking at this being, your senior season, kind of feeling the culmination and everything. Has it hit you yet a little bit? Like, man, this is almost February of ACC play in my last year here.
It definitely has, man. I just can't believe like time flew by. Like it's actually crazy that I'm a senior now and I'm about to graduate.
Yeah, no, it does fly by. I feel like I was watching the 21-22 team not that long ago. So to see kind of like the transformation from there to now has been pretty wild. Backing up. I think one of the things that's been really fun in watching you kind of grow into your game is uh, you wouldn't know it watching you play now. Obviously, you've turned into a pretty damn good player.
Thank
But
you.
like you were pretty like I don't want to say unknown, but I think like a lot of players because of COVID maybe didn't get as much recognition or
Yeah.
eyes on them as would have been deserving. So I know you were originally committed to go to GW
Yeah.
when Jen was there, and then you opened up your commitment again after she left.
Yeah.
So what was that like in ending up at BC and kind of taking that journey? Because again, going from somebody who was not even committed to going and playing Power Five to becoming a very good player in that realm.
My whole recruiting process was actually crazy. When Jen left, it was like my whole world, like the whole recruiting thing had to start all over for me, and it was my senior year, so it was definitely crazy. And BC came to me like literally the last minute. It was literally God like placing BC in front of my face. So it worked out pretty well for me.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So like what was that process like when you like know like okay, I need to open up my recruitment and sort through this again?
Yeah. So after Jen left, I opened my recruitment back up. I had a good senior year. We won states that year.
Yeah, Miami Country Day,
And
pretty good school.
yeah. And then all like my trainer and like people were like helping me trying to find some schools. And it was like a lot because of COVID and seniors were coming back. So like not a lot of schools were like opening and they're recruiting back up. So I was like considering going back to GW again with the coaching staff there. But then, like, literally right before I was about to do that, BC called, and I literally committed like the next day, I think. So yeah.
That's awesome. So kind of looking at your whole journey then from getting to BC to now, how would you kind of describe it? Obviously that's a lot of time to fit into words, but just looking at like we mentioned that 21-22 team that you were a freshman on to now and just what that growth has been like to get here. Obviously, I know you guys want to keep building on this and doing more, but what has that been like to kind of witness and be part of and also see your own growth inside that?
I definitely feel like my freshman year here, it was amazing. Like the leaders that we had on our team, they were real experienced, and having them like in the forefront of like BC was like so great to watch them. Taylor So was like a really big person that I actually like looked up to, and I still talk to her to this day. And she really like made me realize like what like being a leader is and how to go 100% of the time. And so I really like look after her and like what she does. I try to like imitate that in my game a little bit.
Yeah, no, I think you can see some of that for sure, especially in how you guys both play with a lot of versatility. Um, but mentioning Taylor too, and kind of having that path a little bit, seeing Taylor get her name called, going to the WNBA and obviously playing overseas. Like you mentioned, kind of talking to her, what's been maybe biggest feedback she's given you on what to keep doing, or what
Yeah.
have some of those conversations been like?
Even when like recently we were going through like I think a 3 game losing streak, and she just like texted me like just have confidence, and she just like instilled confidence in me every time we talk. She just reminds me that like I'm the best player on the floor at all times, and like she just really just like gives me confidence and just reminding me of like who I am at all times.
Yeah, I like that. It's funny. So going back through and kind of just listening to a ton of stuff from Coach Mack in general, I know a big thing she always talks about is you just being confident in doing what you can and being that player on court.
Mhm.
Um, and I think it's interesting kind of tying that into with originally not being committed to going to a power school, like instilling that confidence. Like I'm sure that you have confidence, of course, in like
Yeah.
what you can do, but feeling that in game and doing that in game, and we're gonna obviously look at that on tape, but like what has that been like to kind of get to a point where you feel like you're doing that every game or working towards that?
Believe it or not, like with my recruiting process and not being like recruited by like Power Five schools, it definitely like you have to find confidence within yourself, and that definitely like plays a part even play a part even to like today because all these other girls on the court they've been recruited by Power Five schools, and I'm just like I got here by accident. But like I just like tell myself that I'm here for a reason. I'm here just like everybody else is here. And if me being here, like it gives me confidence because I'm even though I like had a different process than everybody else probably here, I know that the journey that I had, it doesn't even matter because I'm still here like everybody else is. So that's how I kind of get like confidence every day.
No, absolutely. And I think it's fun too, because again, like Coach Max says, like so much of your game to me is if you just play in rhythm and play what you can do, like the world's at your fingertips a little bit,
Yeah.
right? So kind of mentioning that in terms of your play style, like where do you feel most comfortable at on the court? Because I know you kind of can play a little bit of all over. Like you can really
Mhm.
handle, which I think again that's part of what makes your game so fun. Like 6 feet tall, you're really athletic, but you also can make really smart plays with the ball. Can handle like not a lot of players can bring all those things to the court. So where do you kind of feel best on the court?
I feel best low post for sure.
Hmm.
Like fade away or even like power layup, like definitely in a low post. That's like where I feel like my bread and butter is.
Yeah, no, you do a lot of eating out of that, especially in like transition, a lot of early seals
Mhm.
and stuff, which I love because getting the easy points, I think people undersell that. Like getting the easy points is so big in like scoring a lot of points.
Mhm.
If you can do
Yeah.
the easy stuff all the time, opens the doors to do the hard stuff.
Yeah.
Um, Going off that too, though, in terms of just how this team plays, it's a lot of like, I mean, especially with Caleb back, like playing with a true guard now, but it's a lot of playing like five players all kind of like size, like a lot of ability to kind of mix it up, play differently. Um, how do you kind of feel like that helps you in some ways, play with versatility and kind of play like you can?
Yeah. I feel like we're kind of like somewhat like positionless out there
Yeah.
because we're so fluid. We can all 1 through 5 like play every position, even on defense. So it definitely helps out. You don't got to think too much about your position because you guys, everybody on the court can do the same thing. So being more fluid like definitely helps, not like thinking more on the back end of everything.
No, absolutely. And it's been fun too, just again, watching this team as a whole. Like Taya, obviously incredibly versatile at the five spot. You know, Toddy's really come along in her own right
Mhm.
as well. And like you just kind of see everybody hitting that same stride. So it's been dope to see. Um, and like you mentioned, kind of with that 3 game losing streak, I think not to like bring that up, but I think just in terms of like seeing the evolution of this team to me, I was really interested to see how things were going to go after the Louisville game because that Louisville
Mhm.
game was absolutely one you guys could have snagged and won. Um, and seeing that you guys were able to kind of come and get to this point now where it's like, okay, after losing that game, bounce back, win a couple games, have a really good chance against Notre Dame tomorrow, just to, get things exciting in the Hill, see what you can do.
Yeah.
Um, I know again, Coach Mack has talked a lot about leadership. You've mentioned it as well. What does that look like for you in terms of becoming a more vocal leader, being able to shoulder more of that and kind of, handle some of those highs and lows that happen throughout a season?
Definitely like with that losing streak that we had, it kind of even like took us back to last year when we had like a 10 game losing streak. And we just kept telling ourselves like we can't get back to that, like no matter what we do. Even in after Louisville, it kind of felt like because we would have so many games last year that like dang, we should have had that one. We would lose by 2, lose by 1. And it just kind of like had that same like taste in our mouth from last year. And then it kind of rolled on to 3 game losing streak. And I would say that like with our returners back, we kind of had that same mentality a little bit. But Coach D, our coach, she's a new coach here, and she doesn't have that same kind of like mindset that we had last year. So she definitely brought us in here and was like, "Y'all like the main players. Y'all don't want to have what happened last year." So she definitely like brought our headspace back, and that's how we were able to snap that losing streak.
Yeah, no, it's cool to hear that because I think again, it's like talking to people in general. Like I think you look at last year's record, and I don't think it indicates what all was there, right? Because
Yeah, people
like you
always say
mentioned, I think
that.
every single game it felt like you guys
Mhm.
were really in it and had the
Literally,
potential to make it happen. And so seeing that like start to kind of come to fruition this year has been awesome.
that hurts even more when like you have the game right there and it like you
Yeah,
just don't get it. Just can't
exactly.
tap.
But hey, that's why I mean, building off of it into this year is what's key, though,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So closing out on some questions before we get into it. In terms of like, looking at the next level, are you somebody who kind of always has basketball in the background, or do you watch the W a lot, or what's that kind of like for you?
Yeah, I always watch basketball. Like me and my teammates, we always like watch the games coming on. I love watching basketball, especially women's basketball. I don't really watch men's like that unless it's like a good game. Like who was it last night? I think UConn and Butler. I think was
Hmm.
playing last night. I watched that game. But yeah, I love watching women's basketball. I love watching the W, all that.
Yeah,
The
are you excited?
yeah, I
Yeah,
watch all. Yeah.
yeah. So you're excited for free agency hitting up?
Yes. It
No, it's gonna be nuts. Tons of
is.
craziness happening. But is there a like favorite player to watch, or somebody you feel like you kind of model your
Um,
game after a little?
Believe it or not, I love Rakia Jackson. Like her fadeaway,
Yeah.
that's what I really like. Yeah, the fadeaway jumper is like what I try to model a lot.
Yeah, Ricky is tough, and I see that totally in
Mhm.
the fader now that you mentioned it. And again, like a player kind of similar in terms of like, you want to be able to operate all three levels, get inside,
Mhm.
play like
That's
that,
it.
have some versatility on defense. So I see that for sure. Um, in terms of people who have just been kind of big in your life in pushing you to that next level and continuing to grow your game and develop as an individual, who's you can mention however many people you want, but who's been maybe most key for you in kind of finding that stride and getting to that level?
Definitely my trainer from back home. His name, he goes by like Coach Slim.
Hmm.
He picked me up when I was like when I first started basketball, which is in like eighth grade maybe. So, and he's been with me ever since. He never gave up on me. Even times when I wanted to quit basketball, he was literally always there. We always worked out. He literally invested a lot into me, and I literally just like owe damn near my whole entire life to him. Like he was amazing. He didn't have to do anything that he did for me, and for him to do that was just amazing. And now I'm here, and I like want to graduate literally just for him because he invested so much time into me. It's actually insane.
Yeah, that's awesome. Also eighth grade, damn, that's kind of a late start for basketball.
So
How,
late.
yeah. Did you do anything else before that, or was it just kind of just happened late?
Yeah, literally like in middle school, this the basketball coach, he was also like an amazing person to me. Rest in peace. He was like, come play basketball, come play basketball. And I'm like, I don't want to play basketball, I want to be inside.
Yeah.
And then one day I just ended up playing basketball and I never literally never stopped after that day.
Well, I love that because it definitely worked out for you.
Yeah.
All right. Let me pull up this film as we're going through. It's a conversation. Obviously, I want to get your perspective and kind of see what you're seeing, and we'll talk back and forth on it. If you want me to rewind anything, let me know. But yeah. Okay, so I want to start off by talking about your defense because I think your defense is like to me so much of like becoming a really good offensive player is
Mhm.
being able to stay on the court all the time, right? And I think your defense is what allows you to do that. Um, Before we even like roll through the clip, you guys play a lot of like very extended zone. So like it can
Yeah.
kind of like almost look like it shifts into man at times.
Yeah.
What has it been like getting used to that kind of style? Because not everybody plays that and it's a staple of what you guys do.
Yeah, this defense that we have is definitely it's trying to like make speed teams up, make them throw like the skip passes up. That's what we want to really force. And so I love playing this defense, but it really took like a year to learn it, like to actually like be able to know where to be and stuff like that. And some of us are like still learning it, but it's very good when we get the hang of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because like this closeout is like this is I wanted to start with this because I love this. I think so much of like people watch basketball like, oh, you don't want to do this, that, or whatever. This is like a perfect closeout to me.
Hmm.
Um, like you mentioned, force that skip pass with you guys kind of clogging up the middle. You close, drive off the line, and then really great back tap. Like
Hmm.
I feel like does somebody teach you guys the back tap, or is that just something you've always
He
done?
actually
Because I
hates
feel
when I
like
do
oh,
that.
really? Because I was gonna say
He
you do
hates it
that
when I
like
do
every
that. So when
closeout.
I go for it, I have
Yeah.
to get it.
Yeah. Well, it worked out here this time.
Yeah.
But so when you're reading this, obviously, like you got to cover a lot of ground on this. But again,
Yeah.
you're really good at doing that.
Mhm.
So when you're at the back of the zone here, what are you thinking? What are the things that you're kind of keeping your eyes on and watching for?
So I know with 32 Taya being out, I know that my center right here, Dontavia, she also has to go out just a little bit just in case she gets beat baseline. So I have to
Mhm.
take the low post here just in case of a lob. But I also know that I have the outside on the wing and I have to do that closeout and she has to go baseline because if she goes middle, where our whole defense is like messed up.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I love explaining to people. My girlfriend always dogs me for my analogies, but I think this one's great. If you're playing no middle defense and the ball goes in the middle, it's like you've had like Pillsbury cinnamon rolls before, right? You know how
Yeah,
you like crack it on the counter to open it up? That's what a no middle defense is like
literally.
when the ball goes into the middle. It just explodes.
Literally.
It's really
Yeah.
bad. But yeah. So I love that closeout. It's a great starting point. Right here, again, like we're talking about with playing more of an extended zone, as soon as you see that they're kind of shifting into DHO, some
I have
kind
to
of
get
ball
out in that
screen mode.
passing
Yeah.
lane. Yeah.
Yeah. So what are you feeling out right here, knowing like, okay, I got to get up on this?
Especially with I want to say I was like number 8, so she's a shooter. So I definitely have to get up in that passing lane because the ball's like coming to my side as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like, again, just in general, like when you're feeling out, okay, I'm on the backside of this zone, but there's a lift happening. What are the things that you're looking for to make sure like, okay, I have to be on top of this or how you're kind of approaching it?
I have to make sure that like first she can't like back cut, and I have to make sure she goes in front of me so that my guard can pick it up. And then the switch out, it has to be over and like right on top of it, so she can't like get a duck in on me or anything like that.
No, absolutely. I like what you mentioned too, because in terms of getting back quick, like it's so easy. Like, all right, we'll just hit this with a
Mhm.
quick roll. So if you're not on top of that, then you put your post at a disadvantage in the back end. So love that. Um, right here, so just guarding screens, particularly guard screens, like because Miami tried to run a bunch of this towards the end of the game. Uh, it's easy to like miscommunicate stuff like this or not see
Mhm.
it. So again, when you see a guard coming across, what are you thinking when as soon as this is in your head?
Especially if I get hit, definitely a switch.
Hmm.
It's easier for my other guard to get up in the pass lane as well.
Yep. Yeah, and then obviously like they try and tag that too with having somebody go low post, maybe they can play off of it, have the lift. So what are you, again, like when you're kind of feeling this out, like thinking like, all right, I want to be here and help, but also I got my shooter. What are you looking
Yeah.
at here?
So I know I have a shooter with me, but I know also that Dante is battling in there and she's doing the best she can. But she does like the girl does have an edge on her. Like
Hmm.
kudos to her. But I try to help in just a little bit, like just enough so I'll be able to help Dante out and also get out to my man. And I don't go too far out because I want to use my length to like, so I won't have to, so she won't like get an edge on me onto the basket. So I just use like my speed and my length to not go too far out.
Yeah, again, a really good closeout too. And I think, like you mentioned, being able to use this as okay, obviously you want to stop the shot, but also
Mhm.
keep the ball in front and obviously end up doing a really great job of, hey, this is a great back tap here too. You can't get chewed out
Yeah.
for this one. So it ends up, yeah,
Don't
2 points
talk
for you
smack
the other way.
about it. She hates
Yeah,
when I do it. It
I'll,
works.
I'll have to get in touch and let her know, because it
Please.
works. But yeah, that's funny. I didn't know you would not know watching the film that Coach Vac hates it.
I
Um,
gotta get it.
yeah. So right here again, just guarding in isolation. Jasmine Roberts really good in isolation.
Mhm.
But when you're, especially with this, because yeah, I have the clock covered up, but it's late clock. So when you're getting this to knowing like, okay, it's 10 seconds left on the shot clock, player that wants to go down in the mid post, what are you kind of thinking right here as soon as you're, I mean, you're probably not really thinking on the perimeter, but
Yeah.
when you're in this situation, feeling this out.
So I overclosed just a little bit because I know she can also hit this shot with 4 seconds to go. So
Hmm.
I overclosed just a little bit, but I give space just enough to like get back because I know she wants to get to the mid range, like the fadeaway thing. And then at the end, I try to crowd her in. I seen she was a little bit off balance, so I gave her a little bit of space, but I used my two high hands to like deflect the shot a little bit.
Yeah, no, I think you're really good at recovering like that and then keeping two
Hmm.
hands high because it's really
Yeah.
easy to overplay that and end up sending somebody to the foul
Mhm.
line. So
Yeah.
yeah, oh, that's great defense. You're gonna like this play. This was a great play. So
I
before we even start this one,
already know what it
yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Knowing okay, this is they need to hit a three in order to
Yeah.
tie this up or get a quick two. But like, what was coming into this this out of bounds play? What is like in your head? Like, okay, thinking like, what am I keeping in front of me? What are they maybe trying to run? Like, what are you kind of feeling out here?
I was really just telling myself because I know it's gonna be like a lot of screen set, and I know we're gonna have to like help the helper sometimes because they're gonna like try to drive to the basket. So we're just telling ourselves, I'm telling myself, no one can hit a three on us.
Mhm.
Literally, I don't care if it's my man or their man. Like no one can hit a three on us.
Yeah, it doesn't happen. They don't hit a three on this one. So
Mhm.
obviously, quick screen, get
Mhm.
just quick switch. Um, and then like you mentioned, drive baseline. And yeah, being able to do that again, big, especially back home in Miami,
Yeah.
works out pretty well. Um, but especially like again, like having this I can't remember sorry to both Kavner twins, I cannot remember their names for the life
Yeah.
of me based on their numbers. But in terms of just like when you have a shooter drifting like this too, just like
Hmm.
knowing seeing that out of your eye that fast is really impressive to me. But like
Yeah.
what are you especially like as soon as you turn here, what is like
I knew she was gonna shoot it.
yeah.
I knew like a million times over. I knew she was gonna shoot it. If she would have pump faked, I would have been, yeah.
Yeah, that would have been tough, but
But I knew it
no,
was going up.
yeah, no, it worked incredibly well. And again, like to me, like I don't know, not to just like gush over it, but like this game was awesome for you guys. I was really pumped that you
Yeah.
guys were able to pick this one out because I think this is not a game you guys win last year.
Hmm.
So being able to do that was huge. Um, continuing on defense, so right here, going to like playing in the low post on defense, especially playing against Alyssa, so somebody who you've played against your entire college career. As soon as you have that one-on-one with her, what are you feeling in this before she even catches the ball? Like, what are you thinking with her in the
Um,
post?
our coaches like told us that when she gets that ball on the low post, it's literally you have to bank on her missing it because she's very effective like on the low post. So I'm trying to get in front as much as I can so she doesn't have like get the ball. So I'm trying to do like early work so I don't have to do work on the back end. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and then they side iron to make it pop and like really difficult
Yeah, I
to
try to like
front.
push her out just a little bit so she
Yeah.
doesn't get the ball too close.
hmm No, yeah, and then I mean, I think you play it exactly as well as you can. Like, be there in front, play strong, like try and make it as difficult as possible, and that's all you can do on the post most of the time. Um, it's just looking at switching in general. I think like we mentioned, I think you guys get into a lot of switching, especially when you're not playing in zone. What is most key to you for like being effective as a switch defender, do you feel?
Um, it depends on what side of the floor the person with the ball is. So like on that side, if I was to switch it, I would have to want to force them back to their left hand. But if they're coming like left, I want to stay like more flat just to keep them in that left hand, not force them back to their right. That's kind
hmm
of what I judge it on.
Definitely. So as this ball is getting swung around, what do you kind of like? Because again, obviously you're always on the backside with low, but
Mhm.
what are you feeling here?
Watching the ball, I know I have a shooter, staying in help. Watching my man. And yeah, it's like late game clock, so just being like antsy on defense.
No, absolutely. Because I mean, so much of it is just like staying in front, making sure like
Yeah.
it's easy for this, like even just like a quick like any kind of reversal is like, okay, cool. You can lose your man for a second and then you're in trouble. But like staying in front here just making this difficult works out great.
Mhm.
And then here too, I like that you just like provide a presence too, like knowing game clock.
Yeah.
Like obviously you always want to like you don't want to quote unquote leave people open, but like making this just take longer than a second to make a
Yeah.
decision, and then into that is big time stuff. For right here too, so UNC and Duke play so different. Actually, I don't think anybody plays like Duke. Ton of
Yeah.
sets, like
I
a
agree.
lot of like moving parts. So
Mhm.
like playing against that team and what they can kind of do and how they approach things. What was like mindset for that game?
Definitely communicating because they set a lot of screens, a lot of cuts. Like, so communication was the biggest thing for us this game.
Absolutely. Yeah, so right here on Ashland, who's obviously very good shooter, three-level scorer. When you're out like this far, kind of on an island on here, and you know, like, okay, there's probably some other stuff happening on either
Yeah.
side. What are you feeling out when you obviously you want to stick in front of her, but also don't want to give an angle?
hmm Yeah, definitely like guarding my yard because I know that even like a slightest bit of communicate discommunication could get like an easy layup. So just like guarding my yard mainly is what I'm
hmm
trying to do.
Absolutely. And then like, yeah, I mean, I think with this too, like the kind of screen it is, the way it's set, like that's
Mhm.
really hard to actually get
Yeah.
around and quote unquote stay in front.
Mhm.
So making this a late switch. So as soon as you're kind of getting that, I'm assuming you're getting communicated that there's a screen right there, right?
Yeah.
And then
I was supposed to be in drop coverage right now, but like you said, that screen was like a good screen, so it was hard for me to like to get back to it.
mhm.
So I just took hers and boxing out Delaney because she's a great rebounder. So
Yeah,
just take
she's
it.
really tough.
Yeah,
Yeah,
my play.
yeah, I think I love that you turn it into a peel because like the
Yeah.
way she screen, I mean, she rolls real hard too. So like
hmm
if your big plays this up too high, easy pocket pass, like
Exactly.
so yeah,
Yeah.
I like the way that that plays out. Getting into offense though, I think one of the things I really love about your game, like we mentioned earlier, kind of talking about easy points, scoring easy points. You in transition, you're so good playing in transition. Just again, like Coach Max says, playing with confidence. I think that's where you see your confidence shine through the most is when you get to just make plays with the ball
hmm
in your hands. I mean, you're so good getting to the rim and just being able to attack, draw two, and then it looks simple, but it's a 3-point shot because
Yeah.
you get that wide open. So especially
hmm
when you're like, getting the opportunity to kind of play an early offense and do some stuff like that. What do you like about that? What kind of feels best for you with that?
Yeah, in transit, I love like in transition because it's like you said, easy points. With our offense, it literally starts off with like getting to the rim, see if you can get a layup. So, and that's like in favor of my game. So I really like that part of our offense.
Absolutely. And especially reading here too. Like, when do you kind of notice like, all right, cool, I have two on me, and then you're like, good, I got time to kick the ball out.
Yeah, so on this, I'm like literally just trying to get a layup. And then since Tay was like double double, so I'm trying to see who's open and I couldn't get the ball to her. So someone else on the other side is open and it was KI.
No, absolutely.
But them talking
Um,
to me really does like help me out a lot.
yeah. No, I think people forget too, like it's not easy to like just see this stuff in real time
Yeah.
sometimes. Like a lot of, making the right play is just like hoping somebody's there a little bit and like maybe you get a glimpse of them. But Yeah, it's a lot easier said than done to see some of this stuff. And then right here too, I think like again, when you can use your handle just to attack somebody on an island, like easy money. And then especially like I think again, your vision too, I think we see a lot of your best passes in transition, like just
Hmm.
continuing plays like that. So right here, like when you're able to just kind of take advantage of this, I'm assuming like, yeah, you just know as soon as you get the step up that that's
Yeah.
there. Um,
Yeah. Just like just jab step and just go. And someone's gonna help over. If not, it's probably a layup for me. So she helped over and so I just dumped it down.
no, absolutely. Yeah, and I think like to me, I feel like attacking the basket is like what you do best on the
Hmm.
offense side of the ball, and the rest of the game comes to you from there too.
Yeah.
Which is what makes looking at some of the ball screen stuff you do. Like you get to run a lot of stuff out of pick and roll this year, which has been
Yeah.
fun. Um, so right here, when you're getting the ball on the side, know you have a screen coming. What are you feeling here? What are you kind of like? What's in your head like how you want to attack this?
Um, since this ball's like on more on the inside, I know they're gonna be in drop coverage. So I'm already thinking like pull up jumper. If not me, then my post is gonna be open for a roll.
Hmm. Yeah, so I love the reject here because like I think
Yeah.
so much of again, the way that this is cleared out, you've got
Hmm.
three players occupied on the other side. You got Maria coming up here, so she's out of the way. So attacking with quick reject just makes it really hard for her to be in the
Yeah.
play, draw a foul there. So I like that a lot. Also, I love your guys' gray uniforms. The gray uniforms are so good. I always think that every
Hate
time I
them.
watch you
I
guys
love
play.
them. I
Yeah,
love it. The yellow
yeah.
numbers, I love it.
It's gas. Yeah, you can't complain about it. Yeah, so right here too, obviously we're gonna get into post stuff in a little bit, but
Hmm.
like obviously you guys have like quick post reads that you can get into.
Yeah.
But then this turns into a ball screen out of that. Um, so right here, again, kind of similar play. They shade you so that you can't go baseline.
Yeah.
So you're knowing immediately pull up, right?
Yeah.
Something I want to talk about too. We're gonna talk about it more at the end, but with your jumper, I feel like so much of your jumper is just consistency and confidence. Like
For
this
sure.
jumper to me, like when you take this jumper, when you know this is what I'm getting to, you don't think about it.
Hmm.
Hand placement's great, feet are great, everything is great. I think to me, it's like when you take a split second to think about your jumper, that's when your mechanics go. And
Yes.
to me, like just getting in that rhythm of like always taking it the same way and being
Yeah.
confident doing that is going to be so big for you.
I definitely
Um,
agree with that.
yeah. In terms of getting to that though, like what, because especially in this game, I think you hit like 5 or 6 jumpers in this game
Yeah.
against UNC. What did you feel something different in that game, or was it just kind of knowing like, all right, this is what I'm going to get to because they want to play this way?
Yeah. I knew it was like a drop coverage. So when I hear drop coverage, I think just pull up. And so that's like what like you said, it's like no thought about it. It's like always a pull up. So
Hmm.
when it's like drop coverage. So yeah.
Hmm. No, for sure. No, that's good to know because I think like again, playing against different defenses changes up can really change up so much, which
Mhm.
is what makes this fun, especially with Louisville. Like right here, in terms of a team where like they're so aggressive in playing out, they want to switch everything and keep the ball in front. How does that change up the way that you're approaching stuff? Because that pull up's not there.
Yeah. Definitely like protecting the ball and thinking more to get downhill because they tend to like overhelp and seem like the next pass.
Hmm. Yeah, so especially like right here, when you get this, okay, after you get that switch, have this kind of pulled out an island, or second switch, I should say, and there's just really nothing available. It's okay, I
Hmm.
have to create something one on one. What are you feeling out here, and like how you want to approach this?
I seen that she was sitting on my right hand, and actually she was like, "Go left, go left," and I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go left," and so that's
Yeah,
really what happened.
yeah, and then again, the confident J goes right in. Yeah, no, exactly. I think like Louisville is just such a fun litmus test for people because they
Hmm.
play like I mean it's tough. It's not quite as like I mean last year was really tough. They're
Yeah,
still good this year, but like last year's team was like nasty. But yeah, their switching stuff is like especially when you talk about like pro level, I think that's a lot more in tune with what you see at the next level.
yeah,
So getting into what you can do in the post, I think that's what's really fun too. Because like so often you're playing at the three in the offense, so you can draw some smaller guards on you.
Mhm.
Um, and then you kind of mix up posting up with also being able to drive face up.
Yeah,
As soon as you're seeing this, like what are you feeling? Like, okay, cool. Oh, I have a lot of room to work with here.
yeah. Definitely like it's a lot of baseline, it's a lot of middle, so I'm definitely thinking layup right here.
Hmm. And I feel like too, your footwork and just ability to finish off the drive has gotten so much better in the last
Yes.
couple of years and just getting more comfortable with that.
Mhm.
What's been like most important in kind of that work and getting to that? Because it's one thing to get to the rim, it's another thing to finish there.
Yeah, definitely like I said, my trainer from like Miami, he definitely works on like reading the defense and like knowing what foot to finish off and knowing when to pump fake, like all those things he's definitely helped me with this year. So I was
Hmm.
like definitely focusing on that because I was like one of my weaknesses last year. So I've definitely like been focusing on it a lot more.
Definitely. Yeah, no, being able to kind of just finish through traffic, finish through like a lot of bodies is big time stuff and really important. Um, so right here too, when are you feeling out like, okay, I know I want to hit this duck in?
Oh wait, go back. Let me see. Oh, she's playing all the way inside and she's flat.
Hmm.
So that's really mainly it.
Yeah, so right away you're like, okay,
Yeah.
that's open for me.
Hmm.
No, I love that, and especially too the footwork to get into this is really good because I think a year or two ago this might be a travel for you. So being able to make this a bucket
Yeah.
instead, love that. Um, Next, going into just looking at, I think your ability to make plays is something that you've gotten a lot of opportunity this year because you've drawn a
Hmm.
lot of help.
Hmm.
Like you mentioned in terms of learning like kind of more reading stuff, like what stuff are you looking at? What things are, especially like continuing to build off that and become an even more effective passer? Like what things are you looking at to continue doing that?
Um, Knowing that like when the double's coming, someone's open, and definitely my teammates communicating to me also helps me out a lot.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think right here too, again, like especially with, I mean, Syracuse plays a lot of different like zones, different kind of
Hmm.
stuff. So just knowing where the help's coming from and where you can make the
Yeah.
most impact is really good. So right here, again, too, with that, with your jumper, I think like, again, you don't think it just goes, footwork's great, everything. It looks so crisp when you do it like that.
Yeah.
Um, like especially getting to that point as a jump shooter too. I think like that kind of gets undersold how difficult it is. Like I'm sure you put in a ton of work off the court.
Hmm.
Actually making it happen on the court is another thing, like in terms of just feeling that out.
Yeah.
So how have you kind of like handled that a little bit this year in terms of just getting comfortable in your jumper and confident in it and sticking with that?
I think that like you said, like realizing like when I don't think about the shots that I take and really just not thinking about it and trusting in the work that I put in, it definitely shows and it's definitely like more effective and more efficient when I just do it that way instead of like when I think about it too much and like when I just think about too much, it just makes me like have doubt in my mind. When I just flow like this and just trust the work that I put in, you can see it on the court.
Yeah, it is frustrating too because then you tell yourself it's like, oh well, don't think about it. It's like, well, how do I
Yeah,
not
then
think
I
about it
think
after
about
I tell myself
it.
not to think about it? But no, I mean seriously, for the next level, I think like playing the three, playing the four, where you're going to be at. I think that's where continue to expand your game. Getting that off is so big, but clearly you're putting the work in. That's what matters. But again, like it's just the confidence when you do a quick rip
Yeah.
right into it. And it helps too because your handle is like always in rhythm with your jumper too, and that's really
Hmm.
important to have. Um, but that's it for clips. Is there anything you want to mention before we get out of here?
No, that's it.
Well, Andrea, I really appreciate your time to everyone watching and keep up with all things Boston College women's basketball. They have a big time game coming up tomorrow against Notre Dame in Mass. Uh, Andrea, appreciate your time to everyone watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow down below.